The inquest into the Newcastle earthquake sought to establish the facts surrounding 13 deaths. The state coroner's task was complicated by grave allegations that police bungled rescue operations. These claims surfaced when a fire brigade debriefing document was leaked to the media. But today, Kevin Waller dismissed claims that people still alive were abandoned in the rubble. He said the decisions by rescue services were taken on good grounds. No life was lost which could have been saved. Mr Waller expressed disappointment that the leaked fire brigade document presented rescuers in an unfavourable light. The erstwhile heroes were made to appear petty squabblers. But at the conclusion of proceedings today, rescue chiefs predicted a harmonious future.
Do you think the fences have been mended now?
I'm quite sure they have, yes, good as gold. No worries anymore.
We're quite pleased with the findings. We believe that it's a very rational decision, and we're right behind what he said.
The coroner made 3 formal recommendations. The Australian Earthquake Code should be revised for Newcastle. Engineering and architecture courses should include earthquakes and their effects. And finally, that local council engineers advise on the structural integrity of buildings at disaster sites. While he declined to make special commendations for bravery, the coroner praised all the rescue services, Workers' Club employees and civilians. There was special mention of Norm Duffy, a survivor who comforted nearby victims trapped in the rubble. His wife Miriam died in the Workers' Club. Today, son Michael said the events of the past 2.5 weeks had been a comfort.
Well, I now know as much as I could without being there, and any questions that my family may ask me, as time goes by, I'll be able to answer them, you see.
Mr Waller made it clear today that allegations of negligence of Newcastle City Council were outside his jurisdiction.
A mere allegation that the council didn't do something in 1970 is not something the coroner would normally attend to, and I didn't.
So in your own mind, are you satisfied that there was no negligence involved in this earthquake?
Well, I can't say. This is what the coroner shouldn't say that, because it's not my place to influence a jury, perhaps at a later common law hearing.
As for civil claims, at this stage it's not clear what actions will be taken by the injured and families of the victims. Will your clients be taking any further action?
I'll have to confer with council for that. I anticipate we may be.
The history books will record that 13 people died as a result of the Newcastle earthquake on December 28, 1989. This coronial inquest has attached no blame for those deaths on any person or organisation. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
I will take a measure from one side of the tree to the other, and the next to the next.
It might have been a Carnival or a use. 664404.
I think the labels, the same sort of...
Yeah, there's another jacket.
Throsby Creek has long been an eyesore, a final dumping ground for most of the rubbish that enters Newcastle's stormwater drains. The Carrington Residents Action Group has been working for 3 years to make the area more attractive and, more importantly, clean. Their 3-stage plan combines the efforts of residents with council assistance and donations from local companies. Landscaping of the area has been completed and 2 barbecues have been installed. The next stage includes the construction of a boardwalk through the mangroves along the shoreline. Today's Environmental Award was presented to Lord Mayor John McNaughton in recognition of the work of those involved in the rejuvenation and the support of Council.
The award is a bi-monthly award for a community environmental project. It is aimed to recognise outstanding achievements at a local level.
The Keep Australia Beautiful Council stressed it was teamwork that made this project stand out against others of its kind.
The reserve has been transformed from what was a previous waste site into this delightful passive recreational area, and it's been done utilising the Carrington Residents Action Group, the commercial operators being Waratah Coal Services and Newcastle City Council.
In tonight's NBN News, a tourism study on the Hunter region calls for a major domestic air terminal at Williamtown. The report, undertaken by property developer Bailu Knight Frank, claims the Hunter region is not reaching its full potential.
What's in a name? Everything, according to Maryland residents. Around 100 angry locals met last night to fight a garbage tip to be dumped in their suburb. The tip, already approved by council, is called the Summerhill Waste Facility. And that's where residents say they've been tricked.
I've spoken to people in my area and they wouldn't have had a clue where Summerhill was.
Council says the name comes from an old mine in the area. The site is in fact in Maryland, at the old Walls End Borehole Colliery. And although Council has given warning with 2 public access meetings, held a local environment study, even put on a bus tour of the area, the locals haven't taken too much interest. With Newcastle City's only tip at Shortland overflowing, Council expects to move on to the new site within 2 years. Residents admit they may be fighting a losing battle. Last night it was agreed to meet with council officers quarterly to monitor the dump's progress. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Daryl Malham is now in second place in the Super Street production series, 15 points behind the leader Matt Blair from Sydney. Campaigning a 750cc Suzuki, Daryl has been right on the pace in the previous rounds. Apart from some minor alterations to the muffler, brake pads and the suspension, the Suzuki is absolutely stock standard, a machine that can be bought by any bike enthusiast from the showroom floor. And Daryl can't wait to compete in the 3 3-lap races and the 10-lap feature on a track that is grabbing rave reviews.
Well, I honestly think it's the best track in Australia for safety. It's got everything there, uphill, downhill, and it's a rider's track.
With a trip to France and a chance to compete in the Le Mans 24-hour race at stake, Daryl is confident he can bridge the gap on his arch-rival Matt Blair.
Well, I think so. If I can pressurise Matty Blair into doing something wrong or he has mechanical problems, I can beat him on the day.
Police are convinced the raid was the work of a professional gang. The thieves backed a vehicle into the display window of the Thornton Mall boutique early this morning. Inside, they went straight to the leather goods rack and helped themselves. Other items, including expensive fashion watches, were ignored. Police say the gang knew what they wanted and where to go. It's the second time Sue's clothing store has been robbed in 6 weeks. Even a steel security screen over the display window proved no defence. Police say it's certainly the work of the same gang.
It's been a consistent time factor between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. in the mornings. Probably a fairly quiet time under normal circumstances, but with the high winds around, they've managed to get away at this stage without being detected.
The 18 leather jackets and a similar number of leather skirts valued at more than $8,000 all carry the Venetti label. They're almost certainly bound for eager buyers in Sydney's underworld. One jacket and a skirt were recovered this morning by a member of the public who found them lying on a nearby roadway. This is the 4th leather clothing robbery in the Hunter in a few months. Police are appealing to retailers selling any fashion clothing to dramatically upgrade their security. The owners of this boutique have learned an expensive lesson. They're making sure they're not targeted again.
We put an alarm system in, we're putting grills on the windows, and we're also taking the leather from all of the shops out every night and storing it overnight somewhere else.
Tom Hilston, NBN News.
Newcastle's beaches were in flawless form today, producing the kind of waves pro surfers dream about competing in. Unfortunately, it seems they may not be given the chance in 1990. BHP will decide tomorrow whether to continue its sponsorship of the hugely successful Surfest. The situation has prompted a passionate response from the local surf community.
It would definitely be a tragedy. I think the Surfest event has been a terrific event for Newcastle. I think it's instilled a lot of pride into the city, and it's been terrific to have the world's best surfers like here staying in Newcastle and competing in Newcastle.
The Association of Surfing Professionals, the sport's governing body, has urged the company to simply downgrade the event to AA status, which it says would still attract the best the world has to offer. Boom rookie Matt Hoy agrees.
There's a lot of contests that have been downgraded this year, so everyone's going to be needing the points before a while. Before a while, no one knows what's going to happen, so everyone will be coming here to make sure they do well and get the points, because a lot of contests have been downgraded, like about 5 contests have been downgraded. I just got a letter yesterday saying another one's been downgraded, so everyone will be here for sure, I think.
Surfest has received unprecedented media and public attention. The thought of its demise has left the surfing world baffled.
A lot of the other events around the world get big crowds, but nothing like the crowds that we get here with the Surfest contest. And also, the other interesting thing is, all the teachers have trouble keeping the kids in school when the contest is on because they're so keen to come down and watch the event. So it would be a real shame to see the event disappear off the calendar.
Bruce Mackenzie, NBN News.
When Mr Brown set off from Newcastle last Monday for his first Pacific Highway drive in 6 years, he said he knew the going wouldn't be easy. Having reached Brisbane, he now admits the hazards highlighted in the NBN program Surviving the Pacific Highway are very real. At a media conference, he focused in particular on the narrowness of the highway in sections, on the Raleigh Bridge, which he says must be replaced, and on the often hidden danger of vehicles attempting to make right-hand turns off the highway where there is only one lane.
One of the things that disturbed me, I think, most was that in many places along that highway there are T intersections where motor vehicles wanting to go off the highway and onto the side road have to pull up first of all on a single lane, and there is no passing lane. In one particular case, there's almost a blind curve further back, which means that vehicles coming around suddenly are confronted with another vehicle in their lane which has stopped on the road.
In spite of saying that black spots will be given attention, Mr Brown has promised no increase to the $130 million the federal government is contributing to the planned $300 million upgrade of the road. However, he does now admit the state of the road is of national concern.
The national community is saying, do more on that road.
In a statement late today, the New South Wales Transport Minister Bruce Baird said he was pleased the federal government had now identified a list of priorities for improvements to the road. Jim Sullivan, NBN News.
The Hunter Region Secondary Schools Athletics Carnival attracts the best from 37 Hunter schools. Over 2 days they'll compete not only for an overall school win, but for a place in the state athletics team. A blustery headwind thwarted any track records, but gave competitors in some field events an extra lift, while others didn't seem to need it. In high jump and hurdles, competitors strove for new heights. At Tredenick Oval, the final of the state primary school soccer titles. After 3 days of play, the local team was eliminated. However, the Hunter team drew for an equal 5th place with Sydney's Metropolitan West. Players from Sydney's Metropolitan East and South West teams played a high standard final, with Metropolitan South West being the eventual winners, 3-0.
Game. Third carry.
About 500 of more than 600 metal workers employed at BHP's Rod and Bar division attended this morning's meeting at the Phoenix Club. After more than an hour of talks, the members agreed to a proposed 24-hour stop work in protest over BHP's planned employment structure for the steel industry trades. AMWU state organiser Dennis Nichols said the action comes after more than 2 years of negotiations.
We cannot have a position where tradesmen in one department are working under a different classification structure to tradesmen in another department.
The dispute is listed for the Industrial Commission on Monday morning. In the meantime, the metalworkers say they are prepared to follow a campaign of industrial action to ensure that career paths within BHP follow the guidelines of the Metal Industry Agreement.
Rock promoters hand over the proceeds of the earthquake concert to the Lord Mayor's appeal. At $864,000, it's the biggest single donation yet.
Rescuers in the Philippines have found 37 people alive in a wrecked hotel in Baguio 4 days after the devastating earthquake which killed more than 1,000.
The problems of the blind have prompted the development of some of the world's most advanced computer technology. Products like this local Nomad computer which aids its user by speaking. It's just one of hundreds of products on display at City Hall during the Technology in Focus exhibition this weekend. All cater for those with some form of visual problem, though not all are as advanced as the Nomad. They come as simple as the tiny sock holder, which sells for just 12 cents, but as a way of ensuring socks are always in their correct pairs, is invaluable to those who don't see so well.
These days we're looking at very advanced technology, and we're also looking at blind and visually impaired people competing in a sighted world.
Officially opened by Alderman Margaret Gumas, the exhibition today catered for those involved in working with the visual aid industry. However, tomorrow it will be opened up to the public, and Carol Ireland, Regional Manager for the Royal Blind Society, says statistics have proved there are many hunter folk who could gain some benefit by attending.
We know that there are approximately 1,900 people in this region, in the Newcastle Hunter region, I should say, that are visually impaired and blind, and we expect that there are at least twice that many people with a visual impairment in the region.
It was the biggest single rock concert in Australian history. 45,000 fans packed the International Sports Centre to see a top lineup of Australian talent. The concert grossed $1.1 million. More than $900,000 of that amount will go to earthquake victims, $95,000 to the widow of Crowded House driver Patrick O'Shannessy, and $864,000 to the Lord Mayor's appeal. But it's not all been plain sailing. 1 month ago, the goodwill of bands and promoters was sorely tested as they weathered newspaper criticisms over delay in delivering the concert proceeds. They're astonished to hear that Newcastle Council was reportedly contemplating police action if the money wasn't delivered within a certain time limit. Today, the concert trustees expressed disappointment that publicity ever surfaced.
We would like to thank the people of Newcastle for their help. We're only sorry that it was soured by a certain section of the Newcastle print media trying to find something dirty, of course, which they didn't.
I want you to carry to all of the bands and everyone had anything to do with the organisation the apologies of the City of Newcastle for the unfortunate statements and the beat up in the local press which Mr Chugg referred to. There has never been anything wrong with any part of this enterprise.
Today's donation boosts the Lord Mayor's appeal fund to more than $8.5 million. $2 million of that amount has been given away. The Lord Mayor says the remaining $6.5 million is but a drop in the bucket compared with the city's estimated underinsurance of $300 to $500 million. For that reason, he staunchly defends delays in handing out the money. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
From 11 o'clock tomorrow, these hills will become alive with 25,000 Newcastle Knights spectators as they cheer on their side against the Manly Sea Eagles. The Manly side have been here 3 times with mixed success. Let's go back to that first time when they came here for the Challenge Cup and copped a hiding. When Manly came back for the Winfield Cup match here at the International Sports Centre, they gained some revenge, 10 points to 2. But what a battle.
Joe Rapati box seat. Give it away to Mark Brockenshaw. Oh, big shot over now. Kicked over. Jumped up Ryan Clinton. Now picked up by Freddie Morton. He's going to score in the corner, is he? No, held up by Glenn Friendo.
So one apiece after 2 games, what would 1989 bring? Well, it had rained for weeks. It was a mud heap here at the ISC and the Knights got on top early.
Looks to offload. Offload's now to Gary Worth. Now they come out through Hagan. Hagan trying to switch. Goes his own. Michael Hagan's gone under the post. A very good move by Michael Hagan.
So here at the International Sports Centre, it's the Newcastle Knights 2, the Manly Sea Eagles 1. Can it become 3-1?
Of course it can. Up the Knights.
I think, first of all, there's been a great deal of cooperation amongst people. We know that in the early time after a disaster that occurs fairly commonly. We call it the honeymoon phase. Everybody's making promises and everything's going to work out all right and people feel good, relieved it's surviving. Then we can't get to the phase of disillusionment, and you've all been through that here in the sense the headlines like the city's dying. None of that's true, of course. But now I think you can see the strength of the city and the strength of the people of the Hunter region, the sort of concept that comes across in our town. People who have been through adversity, who stick together, who care for one another. I think those strengths in the community, the integrated response amongst the different segments of the community have really led to a very positive renewal phase, which is now starting and I think will go on.
I think we're now into a period of consolidation, and I would hope with some of the groups a time for building some bridges.
A former teacher, Mrs Chadwick, was appointed to the portfolio after the sudden resignation of Terry Metherell. Teachers are cautiously optimistic the new regime will bring peace to the state's troubled education system.
If her actions follow her words, then there is a good prospect for a settling down period in education.